We have, we'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved, and the board will now consider the request from the property owner at 420 Dunstan Road for approval to allow a 10-foot tall sports court fence. Eric, thank you.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Eric Peach with Giffords Webster, the city's planning consultant. Our first and only item for consideration today is a variance at 420 Dunstan Road. This is for a side yard sport court enclosure, which is a wall height that exceeds the 3 feet ordinance standard. So the A3 zoning district is where this site is located, on the west side of Dunstan Road, just to the west of Woodridge Road. So if we need to, we can go back to the aerial shown here. The sport court is proposed to the northeast, adjacent to the driveway. There was a little bit of a misunderstanding on the site plan you'll see in just a second for the reason why the sport court is so far from the house, and it's primarily due to that area of driveway surface that you see there. This picture kind of indicates that little bit of a discrepancy or misunderstanding of why it's so far from the house. So the yard determination layout, of course, along Dunstan Road, we have the front yard in green, and then the rear yard behind the house is shown in orange, and then the 2 side yards on either side of the house. And so due to the limited space behind the house, given that the placement of the existing house is what dictates such a narrow rear yard, the area for potential developments is over here. For the accessory structure, that being a padel court, which is kind of a variation of pickleball, paddleball, and which is what's before you today. The wall, or the standard walls for a padel ball court, is standard at 10 feet in height. So this application went before the Planning Commission last week. What required approvals from the Planning Commission is the side yard sport court itself. So as an accessory structure, when those are proposed in the side yard, that requires approval from the Planning Commission. Additionally, the fact that it's surrounded by a fence or a wall, when those are in the side yard, that's outlined in blue here, that fence or wall structure requires Planning Commission approval as well. And then cuts and fills that the city engineer will go through briefly at the end of the presentation. There's a bit of fill that occurred on the northern corner of the structure, of the padel ball structure. As you can see indicated by these contour lines here, there was some grading that had to be addressed. So the Planning Commission did approve those items. You may have information before you that indicated there was a home addition at one point. The applicant had taken that home addition off of the plans, which is located here. And there was also a fence for a dog enclosure or a dog run enclosure that required Planning Commission's consideration. So those items have been removed from the plan, so they're no longer in the scope of work, and it's just the sport court in the side yard, as well as the wall that surrounds it.
Has the sport court been approved?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the location of the sport court was approved by the
So we're
Planning
only
Commission.
dealing with the fence.
The height of the fence, yes. The Planning Commission also approved the surrounding, we'd call it a wall, because it's a glass enclosure. It's a solid structure. So those are limited, as you can see here, to 3 feet in height. When in the front or side yards, what's being proposed is 10 feet in height. So the location of it was approved by the Planning Commission, but the ordinance says that in order for that to go through permitting review and approvals, would be limited to 3 feet in height. So that's what brings us here today, is they're asking for 7 additional feet in the structure, the wall structure that surrounds the padel ball court.
Normally, it's been 8 feet, am I correct? 7 or 8?
Yes, we've seen applications for sport court surroundings around 6 to 8 feet in height. If this wall surrounding was located entirely in the rear yard, the height limit is 6 feet without any consideration by the Planning Commission or the Zoning Board of Appeals. But anything over 6 feet in height in the rear yard would require planning commission approval. But because this is in the side yard, the limitation is only 3 feet, so therefore, anything over that would require approval from the ZBA. So I just wanted to include this slide as well, because just from the naked eye, it looks as though the sport court may be in relative close proximity as the existing house, which we typically don't want to see. And so this slide just shows that the existing house is at about 79 feet from the right-of-way, and what's proposed, the closest point of the sport court and wall structure would be about 88 feet. So it's just to demonstrate that what's proposed does sit back further than the existing house.
Do you have an opinion about the visibility of this from the neighbors or the road?
So we looked at that, of course. We did a drive-by site visit, and so we'll show some photographs showing what the site looks like from the street. And then the applicant is proposing some enhancements to the screening around the side of the structure, so that the ZBA can make a determination on whether it feels the screening is sufficient enough.
Have there been any comments from any of the neighbors?
I have not received any.
You have,
Yeah,
you have a packet of information.
Yeah, there's
that
quite a
you
few in there.
And one neighbor wanted it to be farther from the border. And the house next door actually has a swimming pool and a sport court. So normally, we're very concerned about sound with the sport court, or it could be a pickleball court, which has a lot of sound. But the person next door has a sport court, so I'm assuming the sound would, on both sides, could be a problem. So I'm not so concerned about the sound.
Yep, we
I'm
did.
certainly concerned that through the years, we have rejected anybody who wanted anything beyond 6 or 8 feet. So if we approve 10, we've got to have a very good reason why we are doing it for them. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves approving 10 feet for everybody.
Yes, that's a good point, and we did have that conversation at the Planning Commission. The applicant's here to provide some details about the type of glass wall or enclosure that it is, and the homeowner's also here and can speak on the sport itself, which is the main driver for a fence that's, or a wall that's as high as it is at 10 feet. So following the presentation, like I said, the applicant is here to discuss those details with you. So just a few color images that give you a sense of what's being proposed. So Dunstan Road is over here. As you recall, the driveway comes into the property, and this is that separation between the house and the proposed sport court. You may have to squint a little bit, but this lighter shaded green is a 10-foot cedar hedge. And again, the glass wall is 10 feet, so it's just a little bit of a perception issue with the height of the screening edge is the same height as the glass wall.
And this whole court is recessed, so it's 10 feet from the base of the court, then up?
No. Leah can speak more to that in terms of the elevation, but there's only, I believe, like a 3-foot slope down. So let me show you in the following picture here. So in this location, you're looking at the property. So if I understand correctly, there's about a 3-foot difference in grade from the street down. So it's not a significant
And
sunken.
higher in the back, though.
And then once you get further in the back, right, this is where that fill is
Right.
located here to kind of level things out, so.
So the padel ball is different and doesn't make noise like the pickleball? Because one of the neighbors mentioned noise.
Sound, yeah. So again, the owner was here to discuss with the planning commission, kind of those details with the commission. And that 10 feet is the standard height for this type of sport, but that the sound of the bouncing of the ball is less than what you would experience from pickleball. We don't have a color for the court itself. The applicant can clarify if there's any concern over the color. In the past, It's been either of the planning commission and zoning boards consideration that it be more of a earth tone, but this is just an example showing actually the glass enclosure, but having a similar type surface, permeable surface. If color comes into consideration, that may be something that the ZBA has in terms of the motion to approve. So in regards to the screening, again, this is the side yard of the property. So again, the Planning Commission had approved the plan subject to ZBA's consideration, and it's just the surrounding glass enclosure. We have 18 to 20 foot spruce and cedar mix surrounding the sport court, and then those cedar hedges shown here as 10 feet in height as an immediate screening, so as to prevent any views from outside the property and from the street. This area in pink was where the dog run fence was, and so again, that's been removed, but if there's any concern over views from the adjacent property to the west here, that those trees may still be required per the ZBA's view to install those trees as part of the screening mechanism for the sport court. This is just an aerial image showing the proposed evergreen trees surrounding the sport court as it is in relation to the existing house. And then of course the view looking from the street, and one final view from the street. So there's a row of existing evergreens along Dunstan Road, and then there'll be a second ring of trees between those along the road and where the sport court will be. That concludes my presentation. There's a few slides from the city engineer if there's any questions in regards to the grading changes that were approved by the Planning Commission.
Will there be lights installed for play at night?
No,
No lights.
no lights.
Okay. Any electricity going to this outer, for lack of a better term, structure at all? No plug to plug in a radio, no plug to, no outlets, no nothing? Nothing, no electrical down there whatsoever? Correct. Okay.
Do we have any applicable ordinances for sound?
There is, I don't have it off the top of my head, but.
This is presumably for pickleball, other related sports?
It's Padel, which I'll read you, it's much quieter than pickleball.
But it could be pickleball if you wanted it to be.
Padel court is made different where you can only play Padel. That was a question the planning board asked too. So it's a specialty sport where the surface is completely different.
Would either of you like to have the podium and tell us more?
Do you want to have Leah's report?
Sure.
Nah.
It's not gonna let me get away with it. Good afternoon, Leah Michaels with HRC. As Eric mentioned, this was before Planning Commission last week for a grading variance. So what you see on the screen is what was approved. So they did have some areas in the corner that did need some fill. One of the comments was about it being sunk in. I do think the images make it appear that it's a little bit more than it's actually going to be. In the corner here, the difference is about 2.5 feet with the stairs stepping in. So it is a little bit just to kind of make it fit into kind of the hill that goes up there. So, or I'm sorry, it goes down. And then as far as drainage goes, they have proposed some drainage improvements, 2 leaching basins near the property lines to help with some of the additional runoff to keep stormwater contained on site. So there is a swale that runs along the property, and the water does drain this way, so just to help capture some of that stormwater. So this was all discussed last week at Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Matt's up.
Good afternoon. My
My name is Matt Mosier from Mosier Landscape Design Architecture. I'm with my client Susie Schechter. I'll give you a brief overview of what we got here, why we have it, and then why we feel that we have a hardship in getting the 10-foot glass fence. So if any of you have been by the property, the house that is directly to the east has a sport court that's pretty much right in line with where we're proposing ours. So fortunately, there's no house next to it there. Okay, we got a picture. Yeah, so you can see that other one right there. We're kind of right adjacent to that in terms of where we proposed it. This sport is different than pickleball. It's a unique sport that I'm learning more about too, but it uses sort of like a tennis ball type situation, and you actually bounce the ball like off the back glass. So it's kind of a combination of a couple sports. There is an official height for the back drop, which is 10 feet. That would be the same as tennis. So I've gotten, I don't know, 5 or 6 tennis courts approved with you guys over the years here, and we always do a 10-foot tall tennis net. Any sport courts, we always do 6 or 8. But this is in line with a tennis backdrop. So that is official Padel, uses this 10-foot, and it also uses a unique court surface that you can't play pickleball, for example, on. So one of the benefits, I guess, is that if they were to ever sell the house, for example, we're not going to have somebody playing pickleball and have a louder noise, even though there's pickleball going on right next door in the other sport court. One of the things that's obviously extremely important to everybody is that it's well screened. As you could see from the landscape plan, we're not proposing 8 to 10-foot trees, we're proposing 20-foot mature trees. So not only do you already have 20-foot mature trees by the street, but we're also completely surrounding it in a very natural way that doesn't look forced. And then in terms of right along the driveway, we have a 10-foot tall hedge, so 10 feet plus the 2.5-foot drop, that puts you about 12.5 feet tall. So really, unless you're flying a drone or you're playing the game, you're not seeing that fence.
Does the commitment to have trees of that height run with the land?
No. I mean, we just went above and beyond because we knew that in order to get the neighbor support and to be respectful of the city's ordinances, we wanted to make sure it was fully screened from day one. I mean,
I'm asking, would a subsequent homeowner need to maintain that height?
oh yeah, I think that's the,
Yes, that's if the variance was approved subject to it being screened in a particular fashion, that would be the standard of approval.
right.
We wouldn't need to specify that if this were to be approved.
I would mention it in the motion, yes.
And then in terms of its location, this area, if any of you have been by the house, is a very big side yard. There really is no backyard behind the house, so it's a difficult situation to put back there. There is a fairly natural kind of flatter area where we're proposing it, and we did bring it all the way up to the driveway with our hedging in between, so we can't bring it any closer to the house. The last thing I want to say is my client did such an amazing job. She literally went to every single neighbor's door, presented the plans, made sure they were comfortable with it, and you see in your packet, you have letters from literally every neighbor around. The neighbor to the west who's not affected, he was here last meeting in support. So again, trying to be very respectful of the neighborhood, make sure that this is not something that people would object to before we came to you guys and asked for anything. So I feel like we did a nice job. Basically, you guys are here to make sure we're proving a hardship. Our hardship is essentially that we have this unique sport. It's growing in popularity. There's actually a couple of these going. And again, the glass, meaning we don't have like a chain link, it's glass, in order to play the sport.
On all 4 sides.
All 4 sides, yeah. So even if there was no trees, it would be not as visible as a tennis net, for example.
I imagine there are a lot of different kinds of glass. Can you describe what this is?
Yeah, so this is going to be what we would call tempered glass. So if you've ever been, let's say, to a hockey game, The glass that goes up above the boards is either a tempered glass or a plexiglass. This is actually a glass because you need the ball to be able to bounce off, so it's not a plastic. So literally it would be like that, or sometimes you've seen a glass fence around a deck that's clear. It's the same type of glass. So it's an impact-proof glass where, you know, a human being can run full speed into it and it doesn't break. But perfectly, a clear, completely clear.
So you're bouncing the ball against the glass, that's the game.
Right, you're playing and it's allowed to bounce off the glass, come back and you hit it, you know, so a little bit like racquetball, you know, it's kind of this combination of these different sports.
So I'd like to ask the board members, if we were to approve this, bearing in mind that it requires an exception from the ordinance, why would we do that?
Well, my concern is how many times we've refused somebody who wanted 8 foot or wanted something a little higher, and we would say, no, this is the rule, you can't go beyond that. Now, it sounds like this game that they have put in place, already the court has been approved, but I don't know that they had to consider that it's going to be 10 feet on 4 sides, because that is more than just a game that you're bouncing the ball against. So I have a little bit of a concern just because of all the people we've refused. So if we approve this, we have to be willing to say the next time somebody wants 10 feet, we almost feel like we're going to have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to have to say, why would we approve 10 feet for this particular situation?
Well, remember, you're just, you know, it's kind of like, I think all this gets bucketed into, everybody thinks of sport court. This is a completely different type of fence. So I know the tennis courts that I've had approved from you guys, Epping Lane, Pembroke, we've all got them approved at 10 feet because that's a tennis court thing. I'm not saying this board approved it, but previous boards. This is completely different. This is a sport that requires it, and it's glass, you know, so it's a whole different approval to say, hey, that's because this was a special sport, it's glass, than a sport that just like a paddleball court or pickle that just has a back netting. It's a totally different type of fence. So that's my side of it, is that I don't feel that we're setting a precedent here because it's a unique sport. You can't play any other sport or anything on this court. It's a completely clear fence, unlike a tennis court fence. And it's completely screened out. So I don't feel like we're setting a precedent, but that's my opinion.
Matt, what's the, explain the surface difference? Is it porous?
Yeah, a little bit. So it has these openings,
Okay.
like in the floor. So like a normal ball, like a pickleball, that's a hard ball, if it hits one of those, it won't bounce. But with how this ball works with these openings, it still bounces. But it has like these, almost like a deck almost, David?
And the purpose of the hole is to
It's
make
to-
the ball bounce less or more? Or?
It's the bounce and it's the drainage because these courts have to be built perfectly flat. So there's a couple different things of why it's like that. Do you know exactly why?
Hi, I'm Susie. I wish my husband Mark were here, but he was in Dallas for a business meeting. He's the one who's fallen in love with this game, and in part because he has a bad back, and this sport is so good for him, the surface, unlike he can't play pickleball. The floor, it's sand with an artificial turf on top of it, so it's really soft and giving. And it doesn't make, because it's not the hard court with a plastic ball bouncing on it, it doesn't make that noise that you associate with pickleball. It's a much quieter because of that surface and because of the ball's like a depleted tennis ball. And so that's the difference.
I guess the only thing I volunteer, I do know of the sport a little bit. I know it's becoming very popular. I know there's a court, is it in Troy?
There's a court that's been opened up in Sterling Heights.
Okay, Sterling Heights is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It's much like squash racquetball, similar in that you get to play off the walls. I guess the advantage of it is, unlike pickleball, which is, I would, being a resident of Bloomfield Hills, not a fan of the noise. So for the fact that you have a solid surface that contains, it's less noise, probably less noise than tennis, isn't it?
It is.
So I guess
But
my only thought is,
the noise isn't our issue. The height of the fence on 4 sides is the issue.
But I also don't feel like it sets a precedent because there are other factors involved in every decision. And it's really important to me that the neighbors don't care and that you can't see it. On another site where you could see it and the neighbors cared, I might vote differently.
So if
Just
we were
saying.
to approve that, that would be part of the rationale
Yes.
of granting an exception, maintenance of the height of the vegetation, screening would be another reason
Yes.
to incorporate in the approval.
Yes.
And what if someone else wanted, what's the sport called?
Adele,
Called Padel.
Padel.
Padel or paddle, I don't know.
How many people
No,
do you
it's
think
Padel.
in Bloomfield Hills play this sport?
It's becoming really popular, I'm telling you, and
Right.
you
That's
all will
true.
come, if we can get it built, you all will come and play.
We had a couple planning commission members that were ready to,
So our policy is going to be, if you're not putting in that kind of a court, we do not have to approve a 10-foot fence.
For
Is that what you're
for the
telling
unique
me?
objective to
Pardon?
create a court suitable for that sport. With the fact that the neighbors support, not just don't complain, but support the acceptability of that. And the vegetation height and view from the street would be maintained as non-existent. Can't see it from the street.
right, you won't see anything.
There's a pickleball court across the street from me, and they put in huge pine trees. I mean, gorgeous, huge
Yeah.
pine trees, and I hardly can hear it.
Can
I mean,
our
that's a
city attorney
huge
help us?
Sound
Does
barrier
that start
as
to
well.
sound like a reasonable argument?
Absolutely.
Approve
But
it?
part of it is, what I'm hearing everybody say is, we're acting like, is it a sound like pickleball? We are not here to say whether or not the sound is good, or can they have a cord, or whatever. We're here to say, will we approve a 10-foot
Right.
fence?
Mhm.
And if we do, then we have to say the next time somebody wants to put in a 10-foot fence, we will have problems refusing it because we've agreed that we have approved this 10-foot fence. That's really all I'm saying.
I understand.
Right, but we've approved it with conditions. The conditions are, it has to have the trees, the greenery around it, and the neighbors have to be on board, and they are. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I
So it's more
understand
than just, it's
that-
more than
that
just the height of the
changes-
fence.
That changes the decisions that we make the next time somebody comes in and wants to keep a
Yeah, well, I'm just saying if
deer
somebody
out of
came
their
in and
yard.
wanted a 10-foot fence and they didn't have these other conditions, if the neighbors didn't like it, or it wasn't screened properly, then we would say no.
Or maybe if
We-
it
we
wasn't
can-
glass
it-
or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Well, Emma,
we're,
do you want to help
fully
us with an
entitled to say no.
affirmative?
Yes,
Statement.
so there, wonderful substantive discussion here. I just wanted to clarify 2 points. First, Bloomfield Hills does have a noise control ordinance. It's part of the nuisance ordinance. Paddleball noise is not specifically regulated under the exceptions, but there is a general prohibition on loud and unusual noises, and it's classified as a nuisance. So if there was a concern down the line or complaints, those could be handled by the city prosecutor, as other nuisances are. So there's that mechanism. Secondly, it is absolutely true that as a administrative board, you want to be relatively consistent in your reasoning. But the ZBA is a sort of unique body in that you are making factual findings on a property that are specific to that property. So just because you agree to something once under certain factual circumstances does not mean legally that you are obligated to do so under different factual circumstances and a different property. So absolutely, if there's another padel court that comes before this board, it might be worth considering that there's this padel court or perhaps others that this board has allowed. But as a general premise, just because you say that 10 feet is acceptable under these circumstances does not mean you will be obligated to do so in the future. So I just wanted to clarify that for the board.
Thank you. Susie, do you want to make any other comments?
No, I just thank you, and I think that in listening to, I'm sorry, I didn't, what your first name was. The point that you made is it seems like, is there a way to make it so that it's specific, that if you do approve it, that it's for a padel, like making it clear that it's a padel court, not a sports court, and that these other things are happening, it's glass, and we're putting the trees around, all the things so that your concern, you're setting yourself up to make it clear that this is a very specific set of facts, and that's why we're asking for it, so.
Is there any further discussion or questions from
No.
board? And we'd entertain a motion.
I can do it. I move that we approve the court at 420 Dunstan Road. But before I read this, there was something earlier about that the landscaping has to be maintained in perpetuity, or what should I say?
So you have a form motion before you. You can add in, so the standard is practical difficulty on each of these items. So there's strict compliance, substantial justice, plight of the property owner, that the proponent's problem is not self-created, and that the granting of this variance would not affect the purposes of the master plan. Additional things that this board discussed, such as the fact that padel is a unique sport in that it is generally quieter, that the landscaping plan will be put in and maintained to shield the glass barrier. Those are the two items that I recall the board discussing. They would likely be most appropriately put in under number 2, number 3, or number 4 at the board member's
And for the
discretion.
record, we have a written
Correct.
motion that everyone has read and is accessible to the public. So
Yes.
Alana is suggesting some modifications consistent with the motion being made.
Correct.
So was
And I'm presuming
landscaping,
that's a friendly amendment,
we put in
Yes.
maintained,
In the-
okay.
in which case is there any other discussion?
What was the other thing?
If not, then those in favor, please say
Wait,
aye.
wait, wait, hold on.
Specific
Aye.
to this sport, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we not reading this into the record, or are we just gonna
No,
incorporate by reference?
She's noting
I am, I
the
just wanted to make sure
additional items.
Okay,
I thought
I move to
the
approve a dimensional variance from section 24-242B2 in order to allow a 10-foot, 0-inch high glass barrier in lieu of the ordinance allowed 3-foot, 0-inch wall on the side yard. The applicant has demonstrated practical difficulty for the following reasons. Number 1, strict compliance with the requirements would unreasonably prevent or severely limit the owner from improving the property. The proposed 10-foot, 0-inch glass barrier would encircle the homeowner's padel sports court and would provide a needed backstop for the court. This wall is specific to the sport and does not provide as much noise as pickleball. The requested variances, number 2, the requested variances would do substantial justice to the property owner as well as other property owners. The applicant's sports court proposal is in line with improvements present on other properties in the same area. Further, the barrier itself is glass, see-through, and therefore minimally visible to the public. The applicant has provided a proposed landscaping plan which would further shield the barrier from public view, and it must be maintained in perpetuity. Number 3, the plight of the property owner is due to the uniqueness of the property. The homeowner has indicated that padel requires specific court dimensions and that there are no other places on the property to site the court. Further, the homeowner has indicated that the sports court requires a backstop, hence the increased size of the proposed glass barrier. Number 4, the proponent's problem is not self-created, as the homeowner has indicated that there are no other places on the property to site the court due to the shape of the lot, as well as the current layout of the existing home. Number 5, the granting of the variances will not adversely affect the purposes or objectives of the master plan. The purpose, of the master plan in residential areas is to allow homeowners the opportunity to improve the property while minimizing impact on the neighbors. And all the neighbors are in favor.
Everybody okay with that?
I'd like to request one modification. In this verbiage, sports court is referred to several times.
Oh, you're right.
Could we have Padel added before every time it mentions sports court, just to clarify it?
Another friendly
We should say
amendment?
Padel Court, not Sports Court. I guess, technically, you're right. Yes. So do I need to read it again, or can we just add that
No,
in the minutes?
the clerk, you've
I understand.
recognized that throughout
Yes.
the reference to the motion, Padel is substituted in place of sports.
Correct, I understand.
Okay, I think we have a consistent definition here of what's being approved. Is there any question or discussion? Not those in favor, please say aye.
What do we say?
Aye.
And I would say, just to add to it, and what you're saying, we have approved this for this type of court, but that does not mean that we would approve other fences to be 10 feet tall. And that part of it doesn't have to go in, but I think the Padel, or whatever the type of court, that's really all part of putting that court in. So it's sort of a requirement for the court. That's it.
Can you capture that, Amanda or Amy?
I will add that after the motion, as a comment after the motion and vote.
Do you have a second? I mean, did you get a second for your?
No, I didn't even hear everyone's vote, so I'd like to hear the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Yep, and did Commissioner Fisher
I'm supportive, I'm just
second?
helping.
Okay. And then, what was everyone's vote?
Right, so you
I
second.
vote yes.
Okay, and so now we'll vote.
Okay. But can you read it back to us so that we've incorporated your comments well?
Well, actually,
So I'm
It's not
not,
gonna go in the motion, she's just gonna put it in the minutes afterward.
right.
That,
I'm gonna
That's
add
how
the
we feel.
comment that board member Hagenlecker commented that the board approved the fence for this specific use.
Right.
Is that acceptable to you?
Yeah.
We've got a
If
motion
I
and a
understand
second.
correctly, we voted, we've approved, we have, after the approval, we have a comment for the record.
I heard a motion and I heard a second. I did not hear if all of the members voted in favor. So that would be helpful if I could understand what the how everyone voted.
Do you want to poll?
Yeah, let's,
Yes, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Please.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
All right, we've approved it. Are there any lingering questions? Make sure everybody leaves here with a common understanding of what we've approved.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. I'm sorry, last time I spoke with my client, I said, do we have to read that every time? And she said, well, as long as she's tight, that everyone has a printed copy and it's available for the public, they don't have to. That's why I let it slip by.
Okay.
But I actually like reading it better.
Yeah, I do too.
Thank you.
good job.
We adjourned?
Yes, I'm sorry.